Are you looking around at all this AI craze and just feeling like you're left behind? But you're not behind because you were lazy, but just because you chose to be hesitant or skeptical or expected government regulation to maybe come in and change the game. And in the meantime, everybody else has just turned into a cyborg and has crazy productivity due to AI. And you're still drafting emails manually or juggling tasks across 5 browser tabs and wondering how Susie got promoted yet again. The truth is, AI isn't going anywhere and it's not going to be stalled. And it's not coming for your job yet, but it is coming for your edge. And if you're not using it to work smarter by now, you're basically just donating your bonus to someone who is, and maybe even your future salary because you're not adopting it now. But I don't want you to panic because nobody's asking you to become this magical prompt wizard overnight or to start building robots in your garage or spare time. I really want to show you 3 ridiculously simple and practical AI skills that I and my clients use and have been quietly mastering to think more strategically and delegate like a leader, squeeze way more valuable out of the tools you may or may not already be using, such as Claude and ChatGPT, and baking AI directly into your daily workflow so that you don't just stay relevant, but you become as irreplaceable as you can be in today's job market. Before we start, I want you to pick one task in your job right now that you wish you never had to do again. Drop it in the comments below, and I want to start a discussion about coming up with a prompt or an AI workflow to automate it. I will tell you, for me, it is ticket management on the IT side. I have never liked this part of my job. It is a terrible part, but I understand its value. It's just so boring. So drop it down below. Let's work through it together. Without further ado, let's dive in. So the first one, if you watch my channel quite a bit, you will know I am huge on prompt engineering. And learning this skill is not just learning how to talk to AI, but it's learning how to think with AI. By formulating great prompts, you will clarify your thinking and you will get the bonus of having better results, more consistent results, and then ultimately allowing you to move faster, smarter, more valuable. Prompt engineering is designed to reduce what people call the AI hallucinations or data fabrication or incorrect understanding, and also not recreating you in an authentic manner when needed. That is what prompt engineering is all about. So I quickly want to go over 3 frameworks that I have yet to discuss on my channel at all that I hope are going to help you out. Again, whether you are somebody who's already using AI or not. And please note, the beauty of prompt engineering is it works on any AI platform. So these are not just going to be ChatGPT specific or Claude specific or Grok specific. These will be frameworks that can be used on any of the big LLMs: Gemini, Grok, Meta, ChatGPT, Claude, you name it. Okay. So the first one is going to be code. CODE, context, objective, details, and execution style. So this is one that I really like, where your tone, your voice are needed. Like, you need to almost recreate your persona in a specific realm. And most commonly, I use this when it comes to communication oriented practice or tasks. So whether we're talking writing emails, writing articles, scripts, resumes, or doing communication mock conversations, or practice conversations around difficult things where it might be performance related for an employee or firing an employee, things of that nature, or getting a little bit more adjacent to communication, think marketing, branding, and messaging, things of that nature. And also summarizing sensitive documents, and sensitive in this case, not meaning data privacy, but meaning the like your private documents, your tonality, where your voice, things of your specific nature or someone else, like if you're maybe doing work as an assistant and you're kind of trying to recreate or authentically work in someone else's vein, then that's going to be another realm of what I'm talking about here. So sensitive in terms of that you need to recreate the environment, if you will, of the documents that already exist. So what does code stand for? Code stands for context, objective, details, execution style. So context is going to be the background that the information that the AI needs in order to understand the request. So think about if you had to take whatever task you're about to ask AI to do, you had to pawn it off to an intern or a junior, and they know nothing. And you need them to understand everything you know. So maybe this is a client email or a vendor email that you're working with. what is your relationship? How long has it been? Why is it profitable? Um, what does that company provide you? What is that client buying? What is their background? Like, what are all of the storytelling elements and situational scenarios around what you know that the AI doesn't? Even get nuanced to the point of maybe this is coming off of a difficult conversation you had with the vendor, right? Or things of that nature. You want to bring all of that into play. Objective. What is the goal or desired outcome of the prompt? Pretty self-explanatory, but what is the intent? So let's continue with this vendor example. Maybe you're trying to negotiate a new contract with, a 5% lower cost because you're increasing your volume. That's what you would tell AI. So you give it all your relationship background, all the profitability background, everything of that nature, and then say the goal is to try to have this conversation come out as them being convinced or them being persuaded to have a 5% reduction in cost because we are increasing volume by 10%, whatever that might be. D is details. So this is going to be where we recreate you. What are the specifics that need to be included, but also recreated? So what is your tone? What is the format you want the output in? Who is the audience, right? So again, are you dealing with executives or are you dealing with, frontliners? From a format, do you need bullet points, paragraphs, tables, a mixture therein? From a tone perspective, hey, here's previous emails of how I've responded to similar negotiations in the past. Look at these for reference to recreate my tone and my persuasion techniques, right? So this is how you begin to recreate everything about you into this specific task. Last is execution style. And this is going to be the ultimate final output of delivery. So I started to mention that in the details of format, but this is where you're going to get specific in saying, I need that the reasons why the 5% needs to be taken off in bullet points. I need a table to showcase them how they were ROI in the long run. And we need a summary in the beginning that's going to kick things off after my intro, but before we dive into the actual bullet points or whatever your kind of order is of your email. This is where you're beginning to actually identify the output structure from start to finish. That's what you're looking for here. So this is something I actually use for email sequencing. That's something I personally use on my career coaching business. I might give a free webinar and then I might build a three email sequence. I will use the code framework in order to write all three of those emails and kind of make sure that they are in line and in chain, and maybe even have some built-in logic to kind of deviate based on actions that the user takes. But I know that these are going to be authentic because it's based off of my email. It knows what the outcome and intent is, and it just really has enough context to create a personalized communication experience. All right, second framework is TREE, TREE, task, role, expectations, and execution. And so this is one where you are using AI to help you in building systems, checklists, or processes. So it's a little bit more of a building framework is kind of how I would look at this. But I do have one use case that I really like this for. That's kind of actually seems like it overlaps a little bit with the code, but I'll explain why I like it in this one. So I like to use this for SOP creation, policy authoring, building workflows such as maybe like a client onboarding or a new employee onboarding or a ticket managing workflow, right? It can automate that or streamline that or identify gaps. Sales enablement tools or sales enablement strategies. The one that I like to use this for actually is that's kind of similar to the code framework is going to be interview prep and mock responses. So the reason I like this particular framework in this specific scenario is because I can really make sure that the expectations are set. So something that we didn't entirely do in the code framework is set a quality of standard. And in this one, we can. So this is where we can say the quality standard is going to be, we will maybe in the mock interview scenario, we want AI to be so convinced of hiring us that they offer us the job in the interview. That is the bar. And if the AI is not willing us to offer us a job, say so and provide feedback and why, right? So this is where we can kind of set a quality standard where the other ones were more of a, in the code, you're recreating a persona. Like you're still building a lot of standards and nuance, but you're not creating a baseline. You're not creating a, if this result is not achieved, it is a problem. So breaking down tree is T is task. What is the action or output that the AI is going to perform? Again, for the interview prep, this is going to be something like You are going to ask me 10 interview questions spanning behavioral, storytelling, cultural, and technical, right? So what is the task? What is the thing that the AI is going to do? The role is going to be who is the persona or who should the AI adopt from an expertise perspective. Sticking with this interview scenario, AI is going to be the hiring manager for blank job description, right? You provided the job description so that it knows the context of who it's a hire or what it's a hiring manager for. The expectations. This is what I was saying is where you put your quality standards or must haves in the response. So this is where you're going to say that I must achieve a compelling state to where you must want to offer me, or you must be compelled to offer me the job on the spot. If that is not the case, then I need you to break out for me feedback on my interview style, on things such as my tonality, storytelling, and length of answers, right? So you're providing like an overall quality and the expectation of what needs to happen from the AI perspective and to what standard of quality. Lastly, the second E is execution. And this is how the final output should be structured or formatted. So in this case, again, in the interview scenario, you will take the output and the feedback that you have and put that into a table to where on the first column is the question that was asked. The second column is the feature of my tonality in which you are judging and the appropriate response therein. Okay. And so this is something where what I want to do is I want to challenge you with these two frameworks to find something that you are doing daily, preferably today. Don't let it leave your mind. Don't just watch this video and do nothing. Okay. But I want you to take the code framework. I want you to pick something, delegate through Claude, ChatGPT, Grok, whatever, and use that and refine it and go through it to see how successful it is. Same thing with the tree framework. But in this case, I want you to pick a task. I want you to define who the AI is going to be the role of. I want you to include the expectations and say, and now deliver it in blank format. And use this, like I said, for building SOPs, authoring policies, creating a workflow, things of that nature. Please, please, please practice these exercises. Okay, the third and final framework I'm going to say is plan, PLAN, right? Purpose, language, assets, next steps. So P for purpose here, this is going to be what is the overall aim or use case for the output of what we're looking for here. L for language is going to be what is the tone, voice, or style that the AI should use. So again, we're kind of similar to what we've done before. Assets is going to be what are the resources or references that should be included or considered. And then next steps, N, is going to be what should the AI do or the user do after response is created. So the thing about this framework is you can have as much of this defined already or literally nothing. So interesting scenario here. So we can use this framework to instruct AI that this is the process we want to follow in order to build a successful plan or build a successful strategic blank. Think content calendar or maybe marketing brainstorms, career roadmaps, department roadmaps, things of that nature, where like a plan or planning is required. So what you can do is you can go to ChatGPT, and this is what I want you to do today. And I want you to say something like, help me plan my next career position jump. I want to use this structure: purpose, language, assets, next steps. Purpose is what our overall aim is, which is to first determine what is my next career step. Then I want you to then identify the language that we need to use to get there. So what is the tone, voice, or style that the AI should use? So how do you want to be communicated with? Then let's build the assets. So what resources and references and things do we need to build out for me to be successful in this? And then the next steps. What do I need to do to continue as the first step into this process and then continue iterating day after day, week after week, month after month? And this is how it can actually help you build your entire plan and think more strategically from start to finish. Okay. So I know I changed the order on that one where before I gave you the use cases and then kind of explained it. I wanted to explain plan and what it means beforehand, because you can actually walk through plan with AI on its own, which is kind of a cool double-edged sword of this framework. Is you can have this all lined out and say, hey, what are my next steps? Like, I have everything I need, but what's step one? Or you can say, hey, all I have is the goal. All I know is I need a roadmap over the next 6 months for me to get to the next step of my career. I don't know what else to do. So here's how I want you to talk with me. And then I need you to help me build out my assets, build out my resources, build out my references, and build out my next steps. That's sort of the great little scenario there. So now that we've gotten some prompting out of the way, again, code framework, tree framework, plan framework. Use these. Don't memorize them. Don't just keep them in your brain. Go use them. Okay. Second one is going to be fluency from a tool perspective. So I highly recommend people to pick one of the big large language models. So ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, Gemini, etc. Pick one and learn all of its features. I'll give you a full transparency. I used ChatGPT alone for over 2 years before I brought in another AI tool into my ecosystem. And then I chose Claude. And between those two, I have yet to really find somewhere where I feel I have a major enough gap to pay for either Gemini or Grok. And I do think that you can kind of mix and match 1 to 2 and have your bases covered. Okay. So I want you to dive deep, and I'm going to give you some of the things that I mean with these two tools of Claude and ChatGPT, some of the features that people often overlook most frequently. But like anything else, pick one, learn it, then branch into another one, or then research other ones at least. Okay. And if you're just starting out and you have nowhere to go, like you don't have any basis of it, then sign up all of them for free. They all have free versions, and figure out which one seems to align with your most frequent use cases first, and then build from there. Okay. So the first one, I want to talk about Claude's extended thinking feature. This is probably one of the most impactful and brilliant features. It's a little toggle if you're in Claude, down at the bar, extended thinking on or off. But this is what allows Claude to really hold a lot of complex context, very multi-step, multi-variable ideas, and reason deeply, much more to the level of a strategist or an advisor. That is what I want you to think about here. And so the best thing that I like to use these for are truly those high level strategy sessions, career planning, skill road mapping, decision making frameworks, long form ideation, journaling, etc. I'll give you an idea or something that I recently used this for that's on the personal side, not professional. Decision making frameworks. So my wife and I were looking at new cars. And so I'm like, okay, here's my price range. I need to factor in reliability. I need to factor in longevity. I also need to factor in cost of ongoing or expected maintenance. My first child is on its way. So this is something that we need to make sure that we are accounting for the space that comes with that. We also have large dogs, like so many little nuanced variables that could I go spend days test driving cars and walking around car lots, or Googling, JD Power and Kelly Blue Book and this, right? Like, yeah. Or I could do extended thinking. I could turn on research. I could use a combination therein, whatever it might be. But the extended thinking for this type of stuff is crucial. So this is very beneficial for personal and career and professional. So this is, like I said, something that just changed the way that I approach AI in terms of being able to give it much more. I don't want to say vague, because this isn't used to turn vague ideas into concrete ideas, but things that I have experienced historically were previously too complex, or there were too many variables. And when you build out an X and Y axis matrix that you're talking, a grid of, 15, 20, 25 variables, Claude Extended Thinking handles it like money. Okay. So I want you to pick something and just say, hey, so something simple like this. Go to Claude Extended Thinking. Help me explore 3 possible career paths based on these values, interests, and skills. And for each path, include job titles, industries, and key trade-offs. You obviously are replacing my little quick list there of values, skills, and interests with your own. Okay. And then see how nuanced and quality of a result you get using extended thinking. You want a fun experiment? Do it without extended thinking too, in a different conversation. The response is genuinely night and day. It's wild. And the more complex you get, the more that night and day spreads. That's what's kind of cool. Okay, second one is also a Claude specific feature, which is going to be artifact building. So this is something that in Claude originally wasn't its own set aside feature from my understanding, but it was more of a, in the conversation you'd have with Claude, if it was producing a snippet of code or it was producing a Word document or a flow diagram, it would build it in chat called an artifact. Well, now it actually has a dedicated artifact section. On the left side of Claude, where your chat history is, you'll see an artifact section. And this is where you can use Claude to build specific outputs that you give it from the get-go. You know, you could have it do a QR code, you could have it build a game, you could have it build a web page, build a presentation, lots and lots of different types of artifacts. But what's really cool is that you could specify from the beginning, instead of saying, oh, you know, build me a presentation, right? You can say, you know, build me a visual like this, picking from its artifact library or the type of artifact that it's going to produce. And this is something that was just a game changer because it already has some of the actual visual elements of output that you are looking for already built in. So this is really good for proposal generations, resume and LinkedIn writing, meeting preparation docs, SOPs, checklists, things of that nature. So again, going back to the SOPs and checklists, if we relate this back to the prompt engineering framework, right, then this might be something that we use the tree framework with artifact building to have consistent output for SOPs, checklists, and their formats. Okay. So that's like a simple example there. And so you'd build out your tree framework, you'd go to the artifact section, do a new artifact in Claude, and then use your tree framework. Boom. And like it'll be shocking how quickly you like one or two shot the result that you want. Okay. Now, the next two features are going to be specific to ChatGPT. Not that they're the only ones that can do it, because, like I said, all of these features, except extended thinking, I believe are pretty prevalent in the other LLMs. Extended thinking, I believe, is one that's unique to Claude, to where they don't just have the model selection, but they have the extended thinking toggle. Because a lot of other models or AIs are handling that through model selection. But I want to talk about ChatGPT's image creator. Is it the best? No, because it's not purpose-built dedicated. You might get better results from something like a Midjourney or things of that nature, where it's only built to do that, right? But ChatGPT's image generation now is phenomenal. For those of you that have been using it, you know, for, we'll say, over 12 months or so, maybe even over 8 months, and you dealt with the ones, you know, previously trying to generate images where eyeballs were wonky, fingers and hands were all crossed and jacked up, letters and text and images were atrocious, right? All that's pretty much done now. It's so good. AI can generate phenomenal visuals. I use it now for all of my YouTube thumbnails. I use it for all of my article visuals. It just saves me so much time, and I can make sure it's also brand aligned from a coloring perspective, which is also just super phenomenal. So do not overlook this image creation capability. Like I said, I believe Gemini and Grok have this as well. Claude does not. But what I will say is from time to time, I have had struggles getting ChatGPT to produce the image I want through my normal prompt engineering frameworks. So what I have to do from time to time is go to Claude and say, hey, I need you to take this prompt and produce for me or refine it to the point that ChatGPT will produce the image I want. Here's what's consistently happening that's not working in the output for me. And then it usually takes that one rewrite and boom, I get what I want. So sometimes you have a little bit of a tag team. Like you'll recognize that, hey, ChatGPT 4.0 might be better at this human-oriented communication, but Claude is better at the logical side and really good at prompt writing. So I can then use my prompts and then go into whatever model I want. You can kind of, you know, meander and pick your workflow. It's a lot of trial and error. It's like any other tool and skill set that you have that you've developed over your life. Okay. All right. Next one, fourth. I briefly touched on this in a previous response where I was talking about Claude's extended thinking, but I have to talk about the fourth feature of research. With Claude and ChatGPT, I also will give a shout out to Perplexity, because Perplexity is a research built, like it is a purpose built research AI model. I want to toss that one to the side because it is the best one out there, in my opinion, if research is your primary use case. But if you're somebody like me who's maybe doing research once a month, couple times a month, where like it's not worth the payment of a dedicated model to it, but you need sophisticated research capabilities, I want to point out both Claude and ChatGPT. But Claude's research with extended thinking is the chef's kiss. It's so good at taking a lot of variable research, synthesizing it, comparing it, summarizing, and outputting. It is phenomenal. So this could be things like competitor analysis, salary benchmarking, industry and job market trends, white paper distillation. Maybe you want to look at how other people in your line of work are solving the same problems you're experiencing, whatever it might be. Holy smokes. It is so good. I still highly recommend, for the best results from the research modes in both AI models, to definitely still use prompt engineering. Don't just say, research me competitive analysis for the career coaching market, right? Like, that's not what you want. You will need to still use formal prompt engineering frameworks so that it knows what the output is from a synthesis perspective. What is it comparing to? What is the type of output that you would like? And what are the variables it needs to figure out and perform in its research? Okay. Like I said, I think Claude is the best at this with Claude plus extended thinking. I will tell you though, it's a little bit expensive on the credit side of the equation. So think credits are like the amount of usage you have behind the scenes on a monthly basis. So usually I will use Claude's research. If I'm in a deep research portion of kind of my day or my business or my professional life, whatever it might be, then I will exhaust my Claude usage and then I'll hop over to ChatGPT and maybe continue it there, because it's like an 85 to 100% difference. Meaning, like, ChatGPT is like 85% of what Claude is. Like, it's just that additional 10 to 15% that I think Claude boosts above it. That's honestly the moneymaker. So when it's crucial, I definitely use Claude over ChatGPT. All right, so just to kind of recap these real quick. The extended thinking function from Claude, phenomenal for complex multivariable analysis frameworks, decision making, etc. Both are good at artifact building, ChatGPT and Claude, but Claude has its dedicated artifact function, which I really like. ChatGPT is great at image creation, but prompting for image creation, Claude is phenomenal at. And then the research, I give the edge to Claude, but they're both super good. Don't overlook these features. Again, I don't want you to walk away from this video and just memorize what I said or take your notes. I need you to now act on all of these features you have available to you today. Just as a practice exercise now, I want you to combine features that we talked about and that are available that I didn't talk about with the prompt engineering and go have some fun. I don't care what your AI model is. Use those non-default features with these prompt engineering techniques. This last one is actually going to be technically feature number 5, but I really want to call it skill number 3, which is going to be workflow automation and connecting to your apps. So this is where your AI is not just simply a chatbot or chat interface, but starts to become an integrated kind of co-pilot for you. And so this is where you're going to directly connect it to your productivity stack. Things like Notion, Figma, HubSpot, Dropbox, OneDrive, Outlook, etc. Right? So this way AI can access your data, perform tasks, and actually contribute to your workflows in a much more native and streamlined way. And so I mentioned a couple there, but I do want to mention a couple more from the connectors that are available depending on your model. And this could be the difference in picking the model that you pick, right? Because if you are a Google Suite person, meaning you're using Google Drive, Gmail, Google Docs, Google Sheets, etc., go with Gemini. Like, not only is Gemini a phenomenal model for so many use cases, its native built-in capabilities to actually boost your productivity inside of the Google ecosystem, it will be unmatched. So just take this into account, right? And when I'm saying your kind of productivity integrations. So I mentioned Notion, Gmail, Figma, HubSpot, Dropbox, OneDrive, Outlook. Think also Google Drive, Gmail, Canva, Stripe, Asana, Slack, Teams, Airtable, PayPal, Prisma, like Stripe, so many. Okay. And these secure connectors, they are typically powered by a very secure connection called MCP, Model Context Protocol. We don't need to go down that nerdery, but please know that like these are built for high security, highly autonomous and high privacy rules and laws. Not laws, please don't take this as legal advice. We'll say compliance standards that the AI companies hold upon themselves. And so these can be used for things like extracting project details from Notion, building timelines, and putting them into Asana, right? They can analyze payment trends over Stripe, generate summaries or ideas about when you might have your optimal times of the season to double down, or when you're not making money and you need to figure out how, right? You can export Canva designs or assets into Claude for refinement, reposting, and pushing back. Like there's so much that you can do from this perspective. Okay. Something else that's kind of cool, right? Is let's say you do a CRM integration, is you could integrate it with something like HubSpot. You could then take your CRM notes and citations and tags and stuff, and you could put that into a deep research function and research about how do you find more customers about your or how do you find more customers like your most profitable customers, things of that nature. There are so many capabilities here. I do consider this to be the most advanced one because I think that you need to learn the basics of the first two skills of what I was saying. Learn to prompt and interact with AI. Learn to leverage the features at hand with you. Get comfortable with getting the consistent results that you want, then look to take it into your actual direct workflow versus you playing middleman. That's what you want to do. Because otherwise, if you aren't good at prompting and you don't have that down, you're going to connect it to your email, try to have it help you write emails, and then it's just going to sound atrocious because you're like, write me a response to this, right? But it's not going to sound like you because it has no context, because you didn't give it that framework of prompting and things of that nature. Okay. So this is what I want you to begin to think of AI as, and step it through. Step it from prompt engineering into leveraging features, into connecting and integrating it into your direct workflow. Okay. These three AI skills are why it's coming. AI skills are coming with a 25% wage premium, is because your productivity and your output should be far shooting up over 25% more. And that is why the wage premium is happening. And also because you being an early adopter and being ahead of the game, you pushing companies to the forefront, making them more money than they are paying you. That is the key. Okay. Learn prompting for structured thinking. Learn tool fluency so you're going beyond the basics, and learn to integrate it into your workflows so that it becomes seamless. Okay. Now, I mentioned there's a 25% wage premium on this. If you are interested in diving deeper or knowing further about how to actually use AI from a job market perspective, meaning you want to understand the state of the job market, where the growth is happening, and where to apply your AI skills, then click the Q2 job market update video that is popping up on your screen now. Okay. You don't have to become a developer to stay competitive, but you do need to become AI literate, and you do need to stay ahead of the pack. And both being educated in AI and understanding where you are at in the job market are going to be crucial. Also, down below in the description, check out my new AI powered career audit. I would love for you to do that. Get immediate actionable insights today, things you can do for free today, right now, to help out whatever is sticking you where you're at in your career. Thank you. Until next time, I appreciate it.